welcome to my February wrap-up. That was really high-pitched. I don't know what was wrong with me. Wow, I'm really excited. In February, I read a total of 13 books, and wow, I was not expecting to get through that many books. Like, seriously, I was not expecting to, and I'm very, very quite proud of myself here. The first book I read in February was Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, and I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I really loved this. Holy friggin' shit. This was absolutely amazing. I was so nervous going into it because I didn't really see how it could possibly work, how all these like formats could come together to form an actual narrative story, but it was so good. It worked so well, and I read this really quickly, which I was not expecting to do because, I don't know, I wasn't even expecting to like it, let alone finish it as quickly as I did. I loved everything about it. I loved the characters. Katie and Ezra were absolutely hilarious. The chats were so funny. Sometimes if I still think of them, I start like laughing, and it'll be in the middle of class or something, or like in the middle of the night, and I'll just think of like, hey, guess what? What? I'm typing this one-handed, and I'll like start crying, and it's so embarrassing. But this book was honestly hilarious, and I'm so glad that we get so many of these characters and so many of these themes in the second book, Gemina, which is coming out October 18th. Also, can we just appreciate the cover? This was amazing. Oh my god. The next book I read in February was Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, which I rated 5 out of 5 stars again. Yes, this is a reread. There are a few things I noticed the second time around reading that I didn't notice the first time, like the manipulation, because of course when you're going into it blind, you don't really know what the massive, like, U-turn, up a hill, down, crash the car, roller coaster twist is going to be. But now that I already read it, I already knew what the twist was going to be, and you can see it starting to happen. You can see from the get-go, like, who's backstabbing who, and it was so much more painful because it's so blatantly obvious now that I know, and I'm like, oh my god, why aren't you seeing this? Am I the only one seeing this? Like, seriously, Meg, get your shit together. But then I remember that the first time I read it, I was none the wiser, and I did walk out of that book with, like, a massive heartbreak. Broken heart. Next book I read was Something in the Air by Jennifer Gardner, and I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I actually read this kind of by accident before I wanted to delve into the emotional mess that I knew Glass Sword was going to be. And I mean, it did feel what I wanted to happen. I wanted it to be quick, I wanted it to be cute, like it was a novella and it was free. No, it wasn't even a novella, it was like a full-length novel. It was free on iBooks, so I'm just like, hey, may as well buy it. Well, buy it. It was really, really quick. It was so quick that I basically just read it in one sitting, but it did read a lot like fan fiction, and that's kind of why it lost a star. That's part of the reason it lost a star, is because even though I love fan fiction so much, like it's so amazing to read fans' takes on movies and TV shows and books, but there was something about this that it just didn't, it felt really, really manufactured, nothing like a good book should really be. And some good fan fiction does seem like you're reading an actual novel, but this, it just seemed like fan fiction. I didn't realize it was new adult until one scene popped up, and it was like, whoa, okay, wow, I was not expecting that to happen. Like, holy shit, Jesus, take the wheel. It kind of led nowhere, which I found was really disappointing, because the whole book, it was climbing up to this massive thing. What would happen? But then it really didn't. It kind of just led nowhere. Like, the next book I read was Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard. Yes, I pre-ordered this early enough to get a first edition signed. Is it just me, or does her signature look a lot like Vutsus? Like, really? Okay, wow, pull me out of the trash. I belong there, please, right now. Jesus, take the wheel, save yourselves. Normally it's like this slow incline up a roller coaster before shit is like let loose and hell comes to earth and everything just kind of goes to shit. That is like the final book or the final couple of books. but this was surprisingly really good and I really enjoyed it. I accidentally spoilt myself for two significant deaths. The two significant deaths in this book I spoilt myself for, which was an accident. Like, I was flicking through it and I spoiled myself. The whole way through, I was so suspicious that something was going to happen and they were going to, like, hate each other, or there was going to be no chance for my ship to finally sail right out of that cliff of tears. And I was so pleasantly surprised that nothing really major happened. I mean, quite a few, obviously, major things happened because of the book. Obviously, you need to have some sort of climax and, like, little small issues with that. But I guess because I was expecting the worst, it kind of took away from the experience because I kept on expecting bad things to happen. And, oh my god, it made me really suspicious. Mekel, by the way, I ship it so hard. With my whole soul, I ship it. I've made, like, edits of it on Tumblr. I'm so trash. The next book I read was Beautiful Bastard by Christina Lauren, and I give this one 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, this book was nothing but drama and smart. I mean, it was decent smart. It was pretty good smart. Says a 17-year-old girl. But that's all there was. I was hoping this, like many new adults, would be like a funny, light, easy read. But there was nothing really funny about it. It did make me smile sometimes, but normally new adults are so hilarious. I mean, I'm not really talking from heaps of experience. I mean, my new adult literally goes to, like, Colleen Hoover and Jennifer L. Armentrout. But this didn't really have any really funny laughing moments or, like, the giggly innuendos that new adults normally have, and it really made me kind of disappointed because I really wanted to laugh, and this didn't make me laugh. It was just drama. The only thing that I really kind of liked about this book, apart from the smart need to admit, was Bennett, and he did have his own point of view, which I was really happy about, but... Wait, did he have his own point of view? It's been such a long time since I read this. By a long time, I mean it's been like a week and a half. Wow. That isn't that much of a long time. He had really good character development. I mean, it did come out of nowhere, and he still was a bit towards the end, but I did ultimately really like his character, and that was legit the only real thing I liked about this book. But it was okay. I mean, it got 4 I might change the rating to 3 out of 5 stars. Okay, I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was Stars Above by Marissa Meyer. This is the novella bind-up thing to the Lunar Chronicles, which sadly finished last year. The final book came out. It is now 6 books long. Well, 1 prequel, novella, novel thing, the main quartet, and this beautiful thing. Wow, okay. I have feelings about this. I loved Stars Above so much. That is as simple as I can go. I loved it so much. It was so good, and I would have loved to have read it as I was reading the main series or just after. If I read it just after, I would have loved this so much more. I mean, it got 5 out of 5 stars from me, but it wasn't that, like, I loved the characters, and then this novella bind-up book thing made me love the characters all over again, but I wanted to keep on riding that high after I finished Winter last year, but unfortunately I didn't, and I still love the characters and everything. I just really wish that it came out a bit sooner. The next book novella thing I read was Beautiful Bitch by Christina Lauren, and I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars, which I might actually change to a 2 out of 5 stars now that I'm here. Okay, so this novella goes after Beautiful Bastard, and it's legitimately nothing but a filler. It's just a filler, and it was okay, I guess, but the blurb and what actually happened are completely different. They are completely different. The thing that the blurb said was going to happen didn't happen until the final, like, 5 pages. Okay, not 5, like 10, 20 pages. It was kind of ridiculous. It did introduce the male main character of the next book, Beautiful Stranger? I think it's Beautiful Stranger. I should know this. Beautiful Stranger. It did introduce him, but still, there was nothing really interesting about it. The only thing that really pulled up the rating for me instead of being like a 1 out of 5 stars was Bennett, because Bennett. The next book I read was Thicker Than Water by Bridget Kemmerer. I was about to call her Bridget Kemmerer, and I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. That was a roller coaster of a book, and I don't necessarily mean it was in a good way, kind of, but that was a roller coaster in the sense that it made me feel so many emotions so strongly. And it was such a whirlwind read, but ultimately it kind of fell short for me. But the emotions things really brought it up. But the emotions it did make me feel were just anger. Like, just heaps of anger at the characters in this book. It really, really made me kind of angry. I thought this was new adult, and I was honest to God hoping it was new adult. But when I found out it was young adult, I'm like, okay, like, I can deal. I like young adult, of course I love, like, young adult. I read predominantly young adult. But after I finished this, I realised it would have done so much better to be new adult. It was that kind of book that you needed to be new adult. You needed to go that extra mile. But it didn't. It was young adult. And it ultimately fell flat for me. Also lost a star because heaps of mysteries. This whole book was a mystery. And one of the main mysteries, many of the main mysteries, were left hanging at the end. Honestly, they were left as like cliffhangers, and I finished it and I was like, excuse you, really? And also, another reason I also really didn't like it is it pulled a Mara Dyer on me, and I haven't really stated it that much here, but the Mara Dyer trilogy is one of my favourite trilogies of all time. But when I say that, I mean it's legitimately just the first book. The first book is one of my favourite books. I didn't really like where the direction of the story was headed in the third book, and this mimicked that to the point. And for those of you who have read the last Mara Dyer book, you will know that a lot of fantastical themes are explored, and this was basically it. That those fantastical themes were mirrored in this, and it really just made me kind of angry. The next book I have was The Royal Marriage Market by Heather Lyons, and I give this one 4 out of 5 stars. I thought this was young adult. I mean, I was so happy that it was young adult because, like, I love young adult, but it was new adult and it made me so much happier. The characters were quite old. The female character was 28 and the main male character was 30, and I was very, very surprised because I've never actually read about characters that old before. And I mean, not old, but like, normally my range goes from like 16 years old to like 24. These characters though, I love them so much. They didn't have like the pettiness about them that young characters do, like the real dramatizing, like hypochondriac characteristics that a lot of young characters do in young adult and new adult like books, like the jumping to conclusions things. These characters were so mature and there was no pettiness here. They were just mature adults who wanted to find a way out of something, and I loved this so much. Like, I loved the characters. They were so real and fleshed out. And it was a really, really good read, but obviously it fell short for me because it lost a star, and that star was honestly lost because the ending was really, really, really rushed. If the ending was just drawn out a bit more, fleshed out a bit more, I had a better ending, more than fucking 5 pages of it, I would have been very happy. I would have been ecstatic. But alas, no. The next 3 books I read are not actually books. They are graphic novels! Oh my god, okay. So, I read Saga Volumes 1, 2, and 3 in February, and I loved them so much. They were so entertaining and funny and gory, and they didn't sugarcoat anything, which I absolutely love. I had really high expectations, and of course those weren't quite met, but I still love them nonetheless. They just really weren't quite what I was expecting. I loved these books. There was so much diversity, and I don't read enough like graphic novels or books with diversity, and this was absolutely friggin' amazing. I loved the characters. I loved them so much. I loved the art. I love the drawing style. Fiona Staples is absolutely just amazingly talented with her drawings, and it made me so happy. And the last book I read in February was Beautiful Stranger. The fuck is it? It's nothing really to get a Nobel Prize over for literature. I mean, it was decent smart. That's all I'm going to give this series, is that it's decent smart. The characters I didn't like as much as I did in Beautiful Bastard. I think Bennett saved Beautiful Bastard for me, but there was no Bennett here. I mean, there was, kind of, but like, he had a cameo. But I didn't really like Max, and I really didn't like Sarah. I found them to be really, really, like, mediocre, and the story itself was mediocre, and I was expecting something to happen. I was expecting, like, the nudes were going to get leaked or something to like that, and they would know it was Sarah, or like, and I didn't know how the characters would come back for that, but in the end it kind of, like, they were kind of leaked, but not in the way I was really expecting. Okay, I hope you liked it. I'm sorry this is so long, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a great day, afternoon, thing, whatever time it is where you are. I really need to sort out my, like, outro, and I will hopefully have another video up for you soon-ish.